What's good? Let's talk this boxing this morning. I hope you guys are doing well. What's going on? What's going on? I'm about to win $50 off Fahim Couture. We about to make it happen now. Ain't no way this fight's not happening. They want that fight, and I'm excited because we need that fight in boxing. Look, man, I'm looking forward to a good welterweight fight, man. And I think that could be the sneak fight that could save the year for boxing, man. Because this year it's not been the best, man. The PBC really didn't come with the lineup this year. Top Rank, I don't know, man, how long they're going to be. They look like they're suffering mighty hard, man. There haven't been a lot of really good fights out of Top Rank. Not a lot of good fights out of Golden Boy. But this fight, I'm telling you, I'm excited about, and I think it's going to happen. Now, does anybody else want to put some bettings on any money on this fight not happening? Because I could use some spare shekels around here. Ken Gray in the building. What's going on, man? He said, good morning, Fannon. Good morning to you, man. I hope your day is blessed, Ken. I hope your life is going well for you. Avery and Vince said, what's up, Fannon? Or salute, Fannon. Wishing you a wonderful day in health. Thank you very much, man, because I need that wealth, man. I need that wish for my good health. Health and wealth, I would appreciate both of them, man. But life is good for me, man. I hope life is good for you. Ken Gray said he wants his rematch with Errol. Who you talking about, Shawn Porter? Yeah, but if Shawn Porter can beat Terence Crawford, I mean, he's there. You know, he's going to get the rematch if he can get past it, because then he would be the guy that's there for the undisputed. And I don't think in a mandatory that there's any rematch clause. So that's right there for Shawn Porter, man. So I'm as excited when I saw it come across my computer that they had postponed the purse bid that was for today, and so that the two parties involved could have more time to negotiate. That tells me a lot. It tells me that these guys want that fight, man, and they think that they can work something out. And it also could mean that they didn't want to really have some third party come in there and sneak and steal that fight, which very well could have been Triller, you know, getting ready to steal their thunder, man. So yeah, I'm telling you, man, I'm happy, especially with this $50 from Fahim Couture, man. What's going on, Dwayne Jones in the buildings? Blessings up to Atlanta, man. Thank you for wishing them for me out here in Texas. Chillville said, greetings, Noop. I'm not getting excited until the Bud and Porter are in the ring. I'm doing it now, man. I'm not holding off my excitement on anything in boxing. If there's something that they say is going to be good, I'm going for it, because other than that, man, you just kind of sit around forever waiting for something to be happening in boxing, man. So, you know, I've always said, and I still maintain, that the second to the fight themselves, the conversations that go on about boxing are as fun or more fun than a lot of the fights, right? Like the lead into the fight, that's a lot of conversation about who's going to win, who's going to do what, right? The battles that go on between the different communities that support the fighters. That brings a lot of excitement to boxing. I mean, boxing is what it is, man. It's a fight, and everybody in town, surrounds the fight and watches two guys fight. You got guys from one neighborhood fighting a guy from another neighborhood. So, you know, there's a lot riding on it. That's the essence of boxing, man, is what boxing does for the fans and the spectators that watch it, right? And, you know, so if all we can get, and I'm just that type of boxing fan, if all we can get is the really good conversation, then I'm going to enjoy the conversation and hope that eventually, you know, these guys are going to catch on and give, you know, more meaningful actual boxing matches. But, you know, I think sometimes we might be beating much. Quincy Carter, I'll give my prediction in 1 second. Midwest Boxing in the super chat, man. Thank you for that support. He said, good morning, brother. Keep up the good work, man. Thanks. I appreciate it, man. I'm going to keep on pushing. You know, it's kind of like a slow time in boxing, but we keep on pushing. It's the thing that gets me up in the morning, man. It really brings me joy in this world. So I'm going to keep it pushing, you know. There you go. Fannon, do you really think that this postponement is a good thing? Delusional. Yes. How could it not be? If they say don't go to purse bid, that means that the two parties are still talking with one another and trying to work out a deal. Why would they wouldn't postpone it if they didn't think they could work out a deal? That's not delusional. That's just how that's just how negotiations go. If somebody says we can't come to an agreement, we're done, and then they say go to purse bid, then you know that the two parties, the PBC and Top Rank, could not work with one another. When they both say, hold on, can we get an extension on the purse bid? That is telling both parties saying, hey, man, I think we got a chance where we can work out this deal ourselves. So as of right now, there's a better chance that history shows that they had other purse bids that were canceled at the last minute where the other people came to some type of agreement. I think that they may come to an agreement within the next week. Because what do they go to the 14th? So I give it to the next week, and I think that they'll come up with an agreement. Much long after that, if they go to purse bid after that, then maybe that's a question. But I'm telling you, Fahim, you're gonna owe me that $50. So make sure you got the email, and make sure you know I take PayPal. Actually, let me get this off the screen. See that right there, that Cash App, Fannon INT. That's where you can Cash App 50. Don't do this Cash App through the super chat though. Don't do that because I get taxed 30 because it gets taxed. YouTube takes their part. In order for you to pay me my $50 and all of it to come to me, you got to Cash App that. And honestly, we may need to up that bet. You ready? You willing to do 100? Fahim? I'm so confident with them pushing that back that it's going to get done that I'm willing to up the bet, man. John Mayfield said it's like Christmas morning, another notification for Fannon is live. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that compliment. Blow smoke at me all day, dog. Because, hey, man, I need the feel goods of that type of stuff. But look, Southpaw Killer said, good morning. I was kind of pissed last night when I heard, but you're right. Maybe we'll get the fight. Dude, explain this to you. If two parties could not come to an agreement, right? A mutually beneficial agreement, it would have went to purse bid, okay? But both parties said, hey, I think we can work this out. Can we have a little bit more time to work this out? The other party says, hey, I think we can work this out. Can we get a little bit more time to work this out? It means that they are trying to get together. And don't forget that we just had a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant that was dead on the water, right? Isn't that what everybody said? The negotiations had pulled off. It was dead in the water. The fight couldn't happen. And then what happens? Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant enter into negotiations again, and then they come to a solution and they have a fight. I'm telling you, the pushing back of that purse bid is good news, because if the purse bid had come in and it was too low from whoever won it, then there's a chance that, Shawn Porter might have said, nah, I don't want it because there's not enough money in there for me. So I don't know. I look at it as a good thing, man. Now, of course, there is a possibility that the fight may not happen. But in my opinion, it makes more sense to say, compared to like a marriage or something, you know what I mean? Where it's like, we're going to a divorce proceeding and then both parties say, hold on, judge, can we have a little bit more time to work this out and to see whether or not we can work something out, right? Before they say, hold off on finalizing that divorce. We want to see if we can talk together. That's an encouraging sign, man, because if one party was just really done, then, they wouldn't be having that reconsideration. Both parties in this incident, both parties requested the delay in the purse bid. So, but that could just be me wanting to take Fahim Satour's money. You know what I mean? Said Bud gonna pull a Jake Paul and retire. Man, you guys have no faith in Terence Crawford, man. No faith in Terence Crawford, dude. Terence Crawford is not that bad. Like, he's not a coward, man. He's a professional fighter. He's gotten in the ring with other guys. If there's enough money on the table for him to take the fight, he's going to take the fight. He's got a 60-40 advantage in the purse. And I don't see it. I don't see that being an issue with him just pulling out for no reason. It's not a really good sign that he had to get forced to take the fight, but it is what it is, man. George Holland said, boxing is getting boring. If you don't want to be the best, it's enough big fights that could happen. Let fans pick the fights. That would be great. But they don't do that. They very rarely make fights that a lot of people, there's been some incidences where fans really pushed for fights and they eventually got the fight, but otherwise they wouldn't have made the fight. But, fans can be manipulated by the media, and to think, and that necessarily not necessarily know what a good fight is because of the media. But I'm trying to be a little more easy, a little bit light on boxing media, because I understand that those guys got a tough job too. And, man, the way that they're getting flipped over and all of that stuff is really tough, man. This pandemic has been really, really, really tough, man. Edward said, I respect your opinion and typically you're right, but I think you're assuming they're negotiating in good faith to make the fight, which isn't true, I think. I don't see why they would negotiate in bad faith. You know what I mean? It's not like usually when you see somebody negotiating like that in bad faith, it would be because they're trying to use that negotiation as leverage. Like a really good example of somebody that's negotiating in bad faith is Eddie Hearn with Deontay Wilder. I think in that instance, he was negotiating in bad faith, that he was having public conversations about making a fight that he knew he didn't want to make. You know what I'm saying? In this instance, because there's a purse bid associated with it and Terence Crawford's going to be ordered to make the fight, I don't think that there's any bad faith, that there's any, I don't see where the bad faith would come from in this particular instance. But maybe, maybe on Shawn Porter's side, but I don't know what he would be using this fight as leverage for. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you have one option, you could be like, for example, you could be, Canelo Alvarez when he was negotiating with the PBC and also probably negotiating with DAZN for a fight, he could use one guy's offer to entice the other guy to give him more money. I just don't see it here, man. And I got more faith in Bud than that, man. I know I vacillate, but I got more. I don't want to take my criticism of Bud Crawford so far that I would say that the guy is an absolute coward who won't get in the ring with a guy that already's got 4 losses. I think that he's somebody that is confident enough to take the fight. Now, the reasons that he gave for not taking the fight and not affirmatively asking for the fight, that doesn't look good, man. I would think maybe because he's the champion, he felt like he didn't have to call anybody out. But, at the end of the day, man, I just want to see the fight. I just want to see a positive attitude in boxing, man. It's like so many people got their heads down about the sport, and it can all turn around, man, with one or two good fights, man. People could be really encouraged. But, I think that it's going to take, boxing's been around a long time, man. And there's going to be there's been a lot of times when there were really good fights and times when there weren't, good fights. I think we're due for another good, a good heyday, but like, hopefully, but right now it seems like they're in weight classes and we're having a good time in the welterweight division. It's not like we're not getting good fights in the welterweight division. Manny Pacquiao versus Yordenis Ugas was a good fight. It wasn't the fight that we were supposed to get in with Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence Jr., but still, it was a good fight. It was a good fight. And we've gotten the Errol Spence, Shawn Porter fight, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, right? We've gotten a lot. Errol Spence is really good for boxing, man. He's a guy that is out there who's really trying to fight the best fight. Oh, Raw React said, OG, what's good? I'm chilling, man. What's going on with you, man? And what's my prediction? Oh, I got Terence Crawford winning that fight. I got Terence Crawford winning that fight by a decision, by a controversial decision, because, Shawn Porter is going to rough him up or going to attempt to rough him up. And I think the fight's going to go the distance. And there'll be a lot of feeling out rounds for Terence Crawford that he could lose because Shawn Porter is a lot more active fighter than he is. So if Terence Crawford is kind of trying to figure him out and, picking his spots and all that, and Shawn Porter is coming in there letting his hands go, right, like Shawn Porter is apt to do, then there could be rounds that would go to Shawn Porter, right? And then, and I don't necessarily see Shawn Porter. Maybe Shawn Porter can get caught with something and dropped in the fight because, that has happened against Adrian Bronner and it happened against Errol Spence Jr. But, all in all, I think it's a close fight that could go either way, but I'm edging it towards Terence Crawford because, like, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is famous as saying, I can speculate on how Terence Crawford can be beat, but I've never seen Terence Crawford beaten. So, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be what it is, man. And I think that, it's going to be a close fight, man. Cap G said, I was feeling that way as well. Fanon's explanation is plausible. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that is good news that they didn't go to a purse bid, because that means they're still negotiating, they're still talking, and there's a chance that they're going to do it. So, and honestly, man, from Bob Arum's perspective, I think Bob Arum would like to see this fight, especially if there's a chance of losing Terence Crawford after the fight is over, because that's his last fight with him. So, it makes sense in a lot of ways, man. But, I could be wrong, but I'm looking for Fahim Sator. When I try to double his bet, I don't hear Fahim Sator taking this bet. So I'm feeling that maybe I might have an advantage over Fahim a little bit here. Ra React said, if Bob was so much in the red, he could get the SP, he could get Shawn Porter the money. Oh, if Bob wasn't so much in the red, he could get Shawn Porter the money he demands. Yeah, I mean, but I think they're wanting to get that fight off a pay-per-view, and that's the real question, is whether or not that fight is a pay-per-view fight that somebody's going to be willing to put, big guarantees behind, man. I think that's a pay-per-view level fight, but it would be better. I would much prefer it if it was just on Fox and we could just watch it on Fox. But, those guys want big money. Terence Crawford's probably going to want $10 million for that fight. Shawn Porter's going to want, $4 or $5 million for the fight, because they've earned that amount of money before, But it is what it is, man. FSU OKC WG3 said, I have the utmost respect and faith with him inside the ring. It's just being with Bob and outside the ring that I don't trust him at all. That is fair. And it doesn't, and honestly, they don't give you a lot of reason to trust, because they've not given you a fight yet. And it's easy to predict, and safest to predict that, past actions would, give you an idea about what their future action is going to be. So I feel that, and I understand that, but at the same time, man, I'm just kind of encouraged by it, man. But make sure, hey, look, here we go. There we go. Where'd Fahim go? I was looking for Fahim. I'm trying to get Fahim to drop this bet if you can't catch. Yeah. But, hey, Fannon, Bud ain't taking a pay cut to fight Shawn Porter, and Porter ain't taking short money to fight Bud. Who's going to pay $10 million for that fight? T.O. fucked the game up with Triller. T.O. fucked the game up with Triller with all of that, man. Teofimo Lopez went straight up Hollywood, man. That's a wild boy, man. That's a wild, man. Yeah, the MMA does give you what you want, because they're not paying those fighters nothing. So they're not paying, I wouldn't say they're not paying them anything. They're not paying the money that they're paying in boxing. And it's all under one league. Like, I don't know who's going to give the $2 million, but I think if they negotiate it, they should be able to find enough money to make that fight. They've been able to make other fights like that. They've made bigger fights than that. So if you can make the Errol Spence Jr. Shawn Porter fight, there's a potential to make the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, right? There's a potential of it, because money has been there in the past for the fights. And quite honestly, look, man, you said MM gives you what you want. Boxing will eventually. Yeah, boxing eventually gives you what you want. Like, there's been a lot. I ain't gonna lie though. There's been a lot of fights that were really good fights that just boxers have screwed up, like that Kell Brook Amir Khan fight. That was a fight that definitely should have been done, but Amir Khan went all pie in the sky and ruined that fight, man. What Mike Wilson said, good morning, Fannon. This fight will happen. Team Crawford, Omaha, Nebraska. Bud wins by decision. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm riding with Bud. I just don't believe Bud is that big a coward, man. But, hey, did you guys hear what Tyrone Woodley had to say? By the way, man, put questions in the comment section, man, so that we can go on. Because this is we start the conversation with what is put up there, but the conversation can shift to whatever you guys want to talk about. I don't have any problem going with the flow, so let that happen. But yeah, man, I'm just not on Bud being a coward, and that's the only way this fight, to me, from what I can see, is the only way that this fight doesn't happen is if Terence Crawford drops a belt, which I can't see, or Terence or Shawn Porter just I mean, what else does Shawn Porter have to fight? And he's in such a position with getting the fight order that he asked for, right? That, I just think that he would be beholden to the boxing community to make that fight happen. Edward said, because if they fight on pay-per-view, Al Heyman loses money. Why would Arum want to put the fight up for pay-per-view for a fight that might leave in the month? Neither Al nor Arum benefit from a Porter Bud pay-per-view. Look, man, pay-per-view can be used to offset costs. Okay? There's a break-even point for your investment in that. That's like saying, you know what pay-per-view is like? It's like a party that's bring your own bottle. BYOB, it's like a BYOB party to a certain extent. If I invite you to my house, right, and I know you want to have a party and I know you want to drink, and I buy all the alcohol, I have an open bar, and I'm paying for you to come in, right, and I'm paying and you come in and you drink, that's going to cost me a lot of money. But if I have a party where it's bring your own bottle, and all you got to, in order for you to walk in, you've got to bring a bottle of liquor for you to drink from, then it's going to cost me a lot much. It's going to cost me a lot less money for for the party, right? Bring BYOB. When you watch when you watch television, a fight on television in pay-per-view, right? We all think that means, the network thinks that the fight is worth so much money that they want to charge you extra. But really what they could be doing is offsetting their costs and saying, look, I'm not going to make this fight unless you bring your own bottle. Unless you bring your money and you tip your hat into this, I'm not willing to invest the money necessary to make the fight, right? So where if you had $10 million in salary between Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter, and ESPN was going to say, okay, I'll guarantee the purses and I want you. And then they put it on. More people would watch the fight for sure because it's a free fight, but it would cost those guys more money out of pocket. But when they switch it to a pay-per-view, that means that they do have their costs associated with the party, right? In setting up the party, setting up the fight, administering the pay-per-view, negotiating whatever, the rates are that are going to take place between the carriers and all of that. But after they make that money back, everything else that goes to the fight, everything else that goes to the fighter is like the BYOB. Like you got to actually sell tickets to this fight that you're in. So the fighters go out and they sell the tickets and interviews and all of that stuff. I just mean, like pay-per-view, like when people say they want to, you have to wonder why they keep putting all these fights on pay-per-view. They're like, people, you see it over and over and over again, and people keep saying, oh, well, that's not worth the money to me. But I'm telling you, if a fighter's contract says, I'm going to give you $1 million, plus I'm going to give you 50% of the pay-per-view, or they can say, I give you $2 million and no pay-per-view, the fighter might actually take a bet and say, oh, well, I think this fight is going to actually sell this much on pay-per-view. So they'll take the gamble and rather have the fight be on pay-per-view. You know what I mean? So, it's the business model of pay-per-view. I think at least that function can be used in multiple ways. It doesn't have to be that they just believe that it's going to make money that they believe that, it's going to do 1 million pay-per-views and every pay-per-view fight is going to make the guy $50-60 million. Right? It's probably a way to get fights paid for that they may not otherwise be able to pay for if they had to rely upon their budget. If that makes sense to you. And it should make sense to you because it's a very intelligent analysis of that, isn't it, Fahim Sator? And so where's the bet? I'm still waiting for Fahim to accept this up on this bet. Stephen Taylor said, Fannon, do you think Bud resigns with Top Rank? Yes. I do. But it's, there's a chance that he wouldn't, but I would bet that he would because that's where he's been his whole career. He's headed towards the end of his career, and it just makes a lot of sense, man. Ayanda Lamambo said, Fannon, since ESPN and Top Rank don't have too many good fighters, is it possible for them to let their business star Terence Crawford leave? Yeah, man, especially if his contract's up. If his contract's up, and he gets a better offer that he accepts, they won't have any opportunity. They won't have any choice but to lose him, And my understanding is that Top Rank was letting people go from Top Rank, like letting employees go and stuff. You know, we're still in the middle of a 3-year, 2-year pandemic, right? That has really been affecting boxing, like, and affects the money that's out there, man. You know, I mean, I don't think the world of boxing doesn't exist, in a vacuum, man. There's a lot of pressure on people's money everywhere. You know what I mean? But I do think that he resigns. Said Raw reacts, those pay-per-view numbers would be short, man. I hate to admit it, but Bud and Shawn Porter are hardcore boxing fans for real. Yeah, absolutely, man. I know that they appeal to hardcore boxing fans, but you can do 400,000 pay-per-views off hardcore boxing fans. You really can. And I think that you have a better, because I don't think who are the other pay-per-views? Danny Garcia versus Errol Spence Jr. is for hardcore boxing fans. And that did 300, I think that they can make enough off pay-per-view off hardcore boxing fans where it's a reasonable fight. Because I'm going to buy the fight. And I think that the fight would do better than a lot of people expect. But of course, it's not like Floyd Mayweather Jr. Manny Pacquiao, or something like that. It's it's definitely not a fight of that level. I do get what you're saying, man. Black Fawn said, Fannon, please explain how the purse bid works. Well, when a sanctioning body orders a fight between two people, they say they have the WBO Raw reacts, can I list more hardcore boxing fans that did those numbers? Yeah, absolutely. Manny Pacquiao versus Adrian Bronner. Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman. I think both of those were for hardcore boxing fans. I don't think that, it's one fighter that's got mass appeal, but I think he can do it. It's not unheard of. But I could be wrong. But I don't think, on the same side, I don't think that their break-even point is $400,000, man. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But yeah, I can. Hey, Joe Biden's brother, thanks, man. I appreciate that, man. Hold on 1 second, because somebody hit the Cash App. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much to my guy. It's hard to get to that. Man, I'm sorry. Hold on. Hey, my man just comes in, Wilson, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you in the Cash App, man. Much love in that Cash App, man. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah, Mr. Wilson. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. Good looking out, man. That means a lot. Thank you. Said Fannon, Crawford versus Porter on pay-per-view is doing 200,000 pay-per-views. That will cover everything. It's not flopping. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to have like a break-even point where where it pays the bills, and then you have the guarantee that comes from the network. But look, man, I am just hopeful. But the way that the purse bid works is that the WBO ordered Terence Crawford to fight Shawn Porter. If they can't come up with an agreement, the promoters can't come up with agreement, then the WBO will put the fight out to bid and say, we'll let any promoter bid on taking this fight over and promote this fight. And so if somebody comes in and wins a purse bid, that means Top Rank and PBC are now out of the fight and somebody else comes and promotes the fight. That's what happened with Triller, and why the Teofimo Lopez versus Kambosos fight is going to be on Triller and is not going to be on ESPN. So that's just short of how that worked, man. Why is Fannon jealous of Asian Manny? Cause Black Man Wilder is rubbish. Manny GOAT. You're not Super Vals. You're not a Manny Pacquiao fan. You give away when you said rubbish. Manny Pacquiao fans don't say rubbish. Tyson Fury fans say rubbish. UK fans say rubbish. Okay, so let me make rubbish of you and throw you out. Okay, don't try to come in here trying to insult me and try to cause some, oh, he doesn't like Asian shit. Asian shit when you're just a fucking bastard from UK. Sorry, when you I don't mean to get there. You're some UK jackass trying to write in broken English and fake like you don't know what you're saying, man. You're some Eddie Hearn clown. You're some Eddie Hearn follower coming in here to insult somebody and trying to drive some wedge between me and call me some Asian racist, cause me some Latino. And I'm trying to keep my channel of like really positive. Let me make rubbish of you. Exactly, man. Stop here, man. You're not that bright. Okay, we know what it is, man. You guys are always trying to drum up some type of controversy for yourself so that you can grow your channel or so that you can get some type of attention, and you just keep coming with more nonsense and more nonsense, man. It's not worth it, and it ain't gonna work. Black Fawn said, "Jazzy shirt, champ." I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I like this shirt, man. They're white butterflies on a black background, man. So maybe they're moths or something. Eddie Hearn got trolls on the payroll. Man, look, dude, those UK fans are mad that their whole thing. Oh, yeah, man, hit the like button. I'm sorry. I'm not even over here asking people to hit the like button, man. Hit the like button this morning. Hold on 1 second. It don't cost nothing, man, to hit the like button. You know what I mean? We got 86 people. Come on, 250 people in the building. Hit the like button, man. We can get the like button in there. Narch Enemy TV was one asking for it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, dude. They got trolls. Like, that's what they live for. They live to insult somebody and try to make them feel bad. But I got to get a woo-saw moment. And I know that we got wrenches out here. They can get rid of the trolls and get rid of them quick. Viva 2 Vita in the building said it is so hard. It is so hard to give the fans. Is it so hard to give the fans the fights that they want to see? Apparently, man, it is, man. And where's Fahim? Fahim don't want that bet. Now I know I got him. Now I know Fahim is back. There you go. Fahim, I'll let you know in a week or two about doubling the bet. I need some more information. All right, I like that. Yeah. Another information is like, did they come up with an agreement? If they come up with an agreement, dog, come on, man. The double the bet is now or never, man. You got to double the bet now. You can't wait until either they go to purse bid or not do it once they get an agreement, man. I like that though, man. I like the intellectual battle with Fahim Zator, man. I like that, man. That is a lot of fun, man. Oh. Fannon, did you hear Tyrone Woodley say that Jake Paul was on PEDs? No, I saw Jake Paul to know Jake Paul's on PEDs. Jake Paul is so out, man. Jake Paul and Logan Paul are obviously juicing. Look at how they're built. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you know how hard it is to get built like that, man? This dude is with all them, but man, man, get out of here, dog. Of course if he ain't on, it's an act. He said, Fannon, you sitting on some inside information. You ain't hustling me. No, man, I wouldn't cheat you like that, man. I would not cheat you. I just wanted to give you an opportunity, man. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to make some more money. But you know, the way those things work for me, man. Rod React said we need for non-merch that says rubbish now. Yeah. But yeah, look, man, don't ask me about people on steroids because for real, I believe a whole lot of these guys are on steroids, man. Mostly the guys that are walking around looking like Abercrombie and Fitch models when they're in the boxing ring. That's not how boxers used to look, man. Boxers had some muscularity to them, but if you look at the way that Jake Paul looks and Jake Paul looks and Logan Paul looks, they look like guys that are working out with bodybuilders to get stronger and put on a lot of extra muscle and just man, no, I don't buy that crap at all. Absolutely, I think that those dudes are on steroids, man. And the whole thing is a big bit of make believe. So, why wouldn't they do it? They're not out there really trying to be the best fighters in the world. They're out there trying to make a buck. So and they're trying to make their bodies look the part. And the quickest way, the most reliable way, efficient way to make your body look the part is to get on steroids, man. You know what I mean? Said, I disagree with you, Fannon. Urdanus Ugas would destroy Keith Thurman to the body and give him diarrhea for a month. One time, never wanted this fight. Man, maybe. Much love in that super chat, man. It could be a pick 'em fight. Raw reacts, content creation question. Why do you use a different mic for live streaming? Is it just less technical difficulties? Actually, right now I'm using the same mic for both because really the sound quality off this Shure is just as good as the other, like the what do you call it, the analog Shure. The USB Shure is plenty fine for YouTube. So I've been using the same for both recently because I got to replace the part that goes into the to the side. But I've been using the same mic for both recently. I used to use two different ones. What's the live stream Facebook name? I don't live stream on Facebook. Maybe I should, but I don't live stream on Facebook. So I wouldn't know. Dwayne Jones said most white guys do not have a naturally sculpted body as brothers do. Look, man, I'm going to say is this. There are some muscular white dudes. There are some, flabby built black dudes. But I'm talking about Jake Paul. Get out of here. That dude definitely is on steroids, man. That's steroids. That's what it makes your body look like. You know what I mean? He's developing muscle equally throughout his whole body. And when he yells, do you see the traps on that guy? They jump out like this. I mean, he's working, he's lifting. So yeah, man. Do we count diuretics as PEDs, or are they banned? Or are they just banned substances? Diuretics are used to mask. They're used to mask. So you're getting you're trying to flush your system, and it's illegal to flush your system. So why are you using diuretics? That's the question. It's kind of like they caught you using something that would hide steroids. So I think that's what it is, man. So Terry Schmoot Jr. said, true, check Jake Paul's back acne. It's a clear indicator he's on something. Absolutely he's on something, man. I mean, in both of them. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they're both on steroids. Clearly on steroids, man. And don't have any problem using it. I'm sure, not everybody feels guilty about using steroids, man. Not everybody feels guilty about it. And they feel like if everybody's doing it, I'm going to do it. So, and they don't have any qualms about cheating. There's a lot of people that don't give two shits about cheating. Excuse my language. Don't care at all about cheating. FSU OKC WG3 said, do you think Eddie Reynoso giving them boys that juice? Nah, I wouldn't put that on Eddie Reynoso, but I do think that they are the fitness and conditioning industry. I think a lot of that is steroids. I've got a new fitness trainer. I've got a new conditioning trainer. Yeah, and they giving you some supplements, huh? You know what I'm saying? And they giving you some supplements. Absolutely, I do believe. But I believe that there's other people that also are not on steroids. Like I don't think Errol Spence Jr. is on steroids, right? I don't think Terence Crawford. I don't believe Terence Crawford or Keith Thurman or Shawn Porter are on steroids. But some of these talentless guys whose whole, like the guys that really get me are the guys that, first of all, they look like they're bodybuilders. And number two, they don't have any real talent other than they hit hard. You know what I mean? Like that. So, and I just naturally suspect Eastern Europeans a lot. I could be wrong, but it's just, steroids in boxing is to the point where people just accept that people are on them unless somebody gets busted, and then they slap them on the wrist and they keep it pushing. Because, Oscar Valdez, he's going to get a slap on the wrist and he's going to keep it pushing. You'll hear a little bit about it you'll hear about it for a little while. But after that, he's just probably just going to do what he does and keep it pushing, man. Unless you're somebody like Big Baby Miller, who gets busted with everything under the kitchen sink, and and there's a moral outrage around him, when really one steroid is enough, to be cheating. Is just one. That's all you need, right, to do it. So he used a cocktail of them. Canelo Alvarez used one that you caught him on. Terry Schmoot Jr. said, I wonder, does John Pascal feel guilty for taking steroids cocktail? I haven't heard a word from him since. Well, hey, man, he kept it mum's a word on him. I feel sorry for my guy, Sir Marcus Brown, for losing to the guy. You know what I mean? And you could look at, now that's another guy, John Pascal. Does it really surprise anybody that John Pascal would test positive for steroids? I mean, you know what I mean? I've heard some boxing channels say they should be allowed boxing to be a Wild West and allow people to do PEDs since other boxers believe their opponents are on it. How do you feel about it? I feel that that's crap. I feel that's an excuse for somebody to support a steroid, somebody that's cheating. And say, hey, well, why should we have laws? Let's just let everything be the wild West. What's next after you allow that? Yeah, just allow people to randomly headbutt people in the ring. Allow people to hit with elbows. Allow people to use, brass knuckles in their gloves, right? I mean, if it's one form of cheating, and since everybody knows everybody's cheating, let's just let everybody do it. But even with the performance enhancing drugs, then you're going to have a battle of the needle. Like the fighter that can afford it is going to beat the fighter that can't afford it, because there's fighters like lower level fighters that may not be able to afford a full steroid regimen. I mean, it's not the same fighter. That's not the fighter. That's the steroids doing it, giving them the strength. You know what I mean? Said Fannon, fuck Bud. Why aren't we cooking that whole Reynoso camp? Because of the obviousness of it. Because of the absolute obviousness of the fact that those guys that they're pumping that stuff up out over there. I saw somebody, but at the same time, man, Eddie Reynoso's the trainer. It rests with the boxer, Terry said, true, I saw a lot of channels doing defensive work trying to defend Oscar Valdez news. It's been bad on YouTube. It's been bad on the YouTube streets. Yeah, man, I try not to pay attention to the YouTube streets, man. There's always some nonsense going on, man. Like somebody always trying to start like a battle, like a debate battle. And I'll go off. I did a video where I was kind of blasting on that gym a little bit, man, but I didn't really post it up because, how do you know that it's the whole gym and it's not an individual, right? Canelo Alvarez does what Canelo Alvarez does, and he should be held responsible for that. But there are certain gyms that got a reputation for that. And, like Dominic Ingles' gym in the UK, where it seems like those guys just all come out looking like bodybuilders. Like you got the most consistent strength and conditioning program ever, man. Kid Galahad comes out built just like Kell Brook, who's built just like Dominic Ingle. And they all look like they're getting that little extra bit of something. But, Oscar Valdez, he's probably juicing, man. And he got caught, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to make excuses for him. And what the funny thing is? It's like on this channel, I get called. I mean, I don't pay attention a lot to what people make videos about me and do all that. But, I do get a whiff of being called a racist when I defend black people or being a racist against Latinos. If I say that, that Teofimo Lopez is acting like a prima donna, right? But there is that racial component where people want to defend their own, and there's just no defending it. If the guy gets caught with steroids, my personal opinion is the guy should be out of boxing, and he should be out of boxing, period. What's the big to do? Unless you start throwing guys out of boxing, nothing's going to happen. If you keep slapping people on the wrist and letting it push, then, we're not going to get, we're just getting a lot of fakeness, a lot of phoniness, man. Terry Schmoon again said, let's see, Canelo, Luis Nery, Valdez, Julio Cesar Martinez were or are currently with Rene Nozo and all tested positive. So 4 in your camp isn't suspicious though. Yeah, it is. Absolutely, it is. Very, very suspicious that's the camp. But I'm just saying that, Eddie Reynoso's the trainer. Eddie Reynoso maybe, but I think that is just in the culture, man. And those guys are using what they got to do to make that money, and they're going to go out of their way to do it. And they're going to go out of the way to do it. And they're going to try to find the steroids and they're going to use them to cheat. And I think that they will do that shit independently of their trainer, or they can do it as a group. But I mean, it definitely is an indictment on that group of fighters, and the fact that they keep testing positive out of there. And they probably, I wouldn't doubt it if they got the same supplier, right? Like, oh man, this works great for me. Here, use this. But, I just don't want to put it on Eddie Reynoso specifically because I don't know it, man. He said, I don't know if, Chepo Reynoso, the nutritionist. Now, if Chepo Reynoso's the nutritionist, then there you go. But maybe they're just eating the hamburgers, man. And it's just what it is. Oscar Valdez that's not how people are supposed to be built. Just honestly, man, if you go back and look at fighters like Salvador Sanchez, right? And you look at how Salvador Sanchez is built, or you look at how Alexis Arguello is built, how Aaron Pryor is built. These fighters now look like bodybuilders. Like their physiques are giving it away. And they keep saying, oh, they're just doing these things, that human beings get bigger, faster, getting bigger and faster and stronger. And no, man, you guys are on steroids. You got women running it, and it's not just Mexican boxers the track athletes. I mean, a whole lot of those track athletes in Jamaica, I believe those guys are juicing. Because it's just because there's always a pressure. There's always pressure to beat the world record. There's always pressure to go that much faster, to go that much harder, and people are tempted to do it. He said, Michael Kirkland said, them 90s heavyweights were juicing hard, and Anthony Joshua, hey, man, that very could be, but if you don't get caught, you don't get caught. You know what I'm saying? Fannon, what about Hagler? Dude, Hagler is not built like these guys. Hagler is ripped. Hagler's not muscular like that, man. I'm telling you. Go look at Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler is not as muscular as Caleb. He's barely as muscular as Caleb Plant is. He's not as muscular, man. He's not. I mean, and he at the time, Jamaicans never juice. Never. You sure about that? Renee Parchment, are you sure they never juice? Positive about that? Because I happen to know of this guy named Ben Wilson. You sure ain't none of them dilly-dallying at all? Man, get out. The proof, 9-8 is the fucking proof. Is the proof. Excuse my language. I'm cussing more. 9-8. 9-8 is the proof, homie. 9-8s. Nines. What were they running? 9-8? 9-8 is the proof, Holmes. 9-8 is the proof. Ben Wilson, but the real proof, Ben Wilson. Ben Johnson. Rest in peace, Ben Wilson. Ben Johnson. That gets rid of your never right there. Now, are all of them on them? No. Is somebody from Jamaica on some steroids? No, how do I know? Did I say Usain Bolt was on juice? Did I say Bolt was on juice? I did not say Bolt was on juice. I don't know if Usain Bolt is on juice. Personally, I think Usain Bolt is just a tremendously talented sprinter. But you're the one trying to say the Jamaicans never juice. And that's garbage. Get out of here, dude. I ran track. People ain't stupid. Okay. The world-class athletes in track and field, that is a hotbed for steroids. And for you to tell me that where you have the nation of the fastest sprinters in the world and nobody is juicing and everybody else is juicing, that they're just out there on an island by themselves doing nothing. Come on, man. Terry Smith said, what the heck? Shafa Powell and Nesta Carter both failed drug tests. Look, obviously, dog. Obviously. But I mean, just stop, man. Jamaicans you're not completely innocent in all this, okay? Big Dog Willie, much love in that super chat, man. He said, Fannon, shame on you. Canelo camp is the cleanest since Hulk Hogan was training for Andre the Giant in 1988. Well, look, the obviousness of Canelo Alvarez being on steroid is just there, dog. America is not on our level in track. Fine, whatever. It doesn't matter, dude. You guys have had people on steroids. American track athletes have been on steroids. I'm not saying that Americans haven't been on steroids, but don't sit up here and act like Jamaicans ain't no Jamaicans ever been on the juice. You have Jamaicans, a whole bunch of Jamaicans come to college and run college track. Just stop. You know what I'm saying? I know that you guys are doing well and got the best sprinters in the world. All that is good. Hats off to you, but don't sit up here and feign and act like you guys, like there's no steroids in Jamaica. Like you guys are these pristine virgins that would never cheat. Stop. Get out of here. You guys are pumping out 10 flat 100-meter runners like they're hot dogs, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you're running them off of now I have not been paying attention to y'all for a while, but same thing in American track and field. A lot of those guys were on steroids. Flojo, you don't think Flojo was on Florence Grit? Flojo. What's her name? Yeah, Flojo. Flojo was on steroids, and ain't nobody even acting like she wasn't. So if I can say, obviously she was, then come on, man. But you can't be Jamaicans never cheat, man. Whatever, dude. Sell that to somebody else. And I'm not even saying you're any different than anybody. Very talented athlete. Man, Christopher Daly said even Merlene Audie got caught with juice. Man, it's obvious, man. When you start running off superhuman speeds on a regular basis, dude, and that is basically your national sport, and that's the way for kids to get out of, unfortunate circumstances. People will be tempted to do things like that. I'm not Jamaican. Man, it's kind of crazy, huh? Said Big Dog Willie said Jamaicans do steroids too. Dillian White is Jamaican. He was on steroids. No, not Dillian, not a boxer, not a Jamaican boxer being on steroids. Look, man, let me tell you what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that the Jamaicans don't have the best athletes, and that because they do. They harness their athletes and they point them towards track. And they point them towards track and field, and they excel in track and field, and you're probably using steroids to even the playing field so that there's not a bunch of, because if they didn't, they would be getting blown out by a bunch of Eastern Europeans because they would be running human times. Okay. Human times, 10 twos, 10 ones, 10 flats, not 9 5s, 9 6s, you know what I mean? Look like at a certain point in time, they're going to bust 9 seconds in a 100-meter run. If you tell me that a human being naturally and unnaturally can bust an 8-second 100-meter dash, I'm telling you that you must be getting inbred with quarter horses. Okay? Get out of here, dude. It's talent plus training plus a little artificial help on your muscularity, on your recovery, on your training, because steroids ain't just used to build muscle. It's also to help you recover from workouts. So they get faster because they can work out longer, recover quickly, be back at it, recover quickly, be back at it. But Rich Alex said, come on, man. I was introduced to steroids in high school by my baseball coach. How do you say no at that age? I thought my coach was God, and I just thought it was okay. There you go. People getting introduced to steroids by their coaches in high school. Yeah, your butt hurt. I understand, Mr. Parchment, that you're hurting, okay, on that. But it's not an indictment, dude. It's everywhere in everybody's sports. And you're not sitting on. I know you're on an island, but you're not just there by yourself with no outside influences, with super athletes popping out all over the place, and ain't none of them doing anything. Look at how they're built, man. Just look at how they're built. Look at the muscle. Look at the immense muscularity on a lot of these athletes. These people are juicing. And if you want to turn your eye to it because you're a fan, then turn your eye to it because you're a fan. But just stop. There are basketball players that are juicing. Look at some of these basketball players. Like, dog, how do you they're like, I just commit to the gym and I'm just working out in the gym and there's nothing else in the gym with them. Like they're putting all this massive amount of muscle. Like, I'll point to somebody anyway. Look, it is what it is. It's called we worked out. Yeah, it's called workout. Yeah, I got you. Work your way out to an 8-second 100. When you run that 8-second 100, you're just working out. I got it. They're just working out, and that's it. Yeah, sure. All of your professional athletes are all innocent. And hey, let me ask you a question. Is anybody outside of Jamaica on steroids? Anybody outside of Jamaica using steroids? So should I just accept the same thing? Dude, I ran track. I literally have seen guys walking around in track meets with Band-Aids on their thighs. Literally Band-Aids on their thighs, covering over where they shot the juice in. With absolutely no shame about it, man. Just whatever though. You act like Jamaica is something sitting out there by itself that would never do anything wrong. And okay, whatever. I'm telling you, you guys got the best sprinters. You're doing what you're doing. You got a very small population of people doing really great things. And that's because you got a lot of talent there. A lot of talent, Rich Alex says, sports science is just so advanced like everything else. You're right. It is what it is. All sports are using some form of banned substances. There you go, man. Just stop, dude. These guys are not being built like this just because they're hitting weights. Okay? Like, all of a sudden, you've got these 6'9" guys with 6'9", loaded with muscle, with 3% body fat. They can play 80 games a year, never get injured, hit the foot. Just stop, man. These guys are they're using assistance, man, because it's a brutal and very, very tough situation. You know what I mean? Kandahari Alak said Jamaicans hating on American athletes. Yeah, look, dude, they got track and field. You got track and field. You're doing well in track and field. What do you want me to say? Congratulations. You're doing well in the sprints. Steroids has ruined track and field. Absolutely ruined the sport. In my opinion, I don't think anybody believes track athletes aren't juicing. And American track athletes the same way, man. American upper echelon track athletes as well. People, it's like you can have almost no faith that, no, we got Spence. Spence was born in Brooklyn. He's a U.S. citizen, homie. His dad is Jamaican. His mother's from America. So you're gonna have to split Spence. Sorry. Hey, dude. First of all, we're all the same people. Because they're saying that because his father's from Jamaica and he's got family in Jamaica. His family's Jamaican. That's fine. Oh, okay. Honestly, dude, the Jamaican, you're still black people. Like, what's the difference? Same people, different boat. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same. You're just right over there. Okay. I don't know if you got this or not, but they floated some boats by you and they dropped y'all over there. And then, Brene, you just crybabying today. You just crybabying today because I'm not going to tell you. I'm telling you the truth, and you don't like it. You don't like that. Get out of here, dude. If I can tell you American athletes juice, I can tell you that Jamaican athletes juice. They do. They juice. Stop. I mean, dog. The world record in the 100 meter has plummeted. I mean, plummeted. Stop it. And now you got every other guy, dude. You got every other guy out there running 9.9s. Stop. You know what I'm saying? Dude, back in the 1980s, I'm serious. A 10 flat, a 9.9, you were doing something sick, right? All of a sudden, you start seeing you start seeing 100-meter runners that are built like bodybuilders running 9.85s. Get out of here, man. Just get out of here. Come on, man. Said, I'm here in the, hey, okay, you here in the Bronx. Then they got steroids in the Bronx too. You know what I'm saying? They got steroids in the Bronx too. Hey, guess what? Do you know Lee Haney? Lee Haney was on steroids. I hate to break it to you. Lou Ferrigno was on steroids. Lee Haney was on steroids. Most of those professional bodybuilders are all on steroids. Okay? So the steroids are here, man. And you can say what you want, but it is a big old industry, and everybody says it's rampant, but it's never rampant. It's never rampant until, it's never rampant when it comes to your guy. You know what I'm saying? It's when it's your guys, my guys are clean, 100%, because you start believing it. Like you got Tyson Fury fans that just will not believe that Tyson Fury will cheat for nothing. But the fact of the matter is, dude, you got busted cheating. So what are you talking about? Like, I wasn't even going to harp on how many Jamaicans have popped dirty for steroids. And you had a list of people that brought out like 6 of them. So if you got like 6 Jamaicans that have popped dirty, then how could you be claiming that Jamaicans are never on juice? You got pride, and you got pride in your sprinters, and you should. They are really great sprinters that just so happen to not be stupid and know dang well that if they don't do it, then more than likely other people will do it, and then they have a chance to beat you. It's just the competitive edge. Like, I mean, it goes around in all kind of stuff, like on YouTube, I see that stuff all the time. Like, if somebody does something that creates a buzz, then all of a sudden everybody else wants to do the same thing because they don't want that person to leave them, right? So they bite what they do, and all of that stuff goes on. It's human nature. You see what's successful in somebody else and you try to copy it, and steroids work. But let me ask you a question. How fast would you run if you were on steroids? If you guys are running 9.8s, 9.2s, hold on a second, man. You had a woman run a 10.5. But Jackie Joyner Kersey ran a 4.10.49. The lady was running 11.1s and 11.2s. And then all of a sudden out the blue, she runs a 10.49. Steroids work, okay? And people use them. Tyler Walker Devin said, Fannon, top sprinters juice, end of story. That's why the women's sprint records haven't been broken in 30 years, even though science and technology has progressed. And look, the technology thing, I believe, plays a role in it. Like maybe like the material that you're running on, and the spikes that you're using, right? The fitness material, the fitness that you're working on, but the basic physiology of the human body has not changed, dog. You said, wait, Ilan Thompson isn't on juice though. That 10.54. Dude, you got women running a 10.54. 10.54. You have women that are out running 18. You got women that would outrun like like high school boys, a very, very good high school boy track athlete. No, I'm sorry. Elaine Thompson is not outrunning the top sprinters in high school and some of the top sprinters in high school. Just get out of here, dude. That's a 10.54 and nothing in that. 10.54 and ain't no juice. If she gets on juice, what are you going to tell me? She's going to run a 10.3? Seriously. What does she run on juice? She needs to get on the juice so I can see that 10.3. A 10.3. Because she would get improvements. Man, I ain't hating. I'm telling you the truth. Jackie Joyner Kersey, it's just ridiculous, dog. Man, get out of here. You got the long jump record the same. But you got the 100-meter dash record dropping by half a second. Are you serious? Why hasn't the 100-meter... If that's the case, why hasn't the long jump? Why aren't there guys out there doing 30-foot long jumps? 30-foot long jumps. If people have gotten that much faster, they should still be jumping that much further, but they're not touching the distances that Carl Lewis had. Why is that? How do you match that up? You know what I'm saying? But you got me off of boxing, dog. Say you got a Cali dude running 10 flat and sub 10s in high school. Stuff that people were doing and winning. They got high school athletes now that are running times that would have won the Olympics in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Where you have guys in the Olympics that are running 9.9s. You now got high school kids. You got high school kids running the same time as guys what they were winning in the Olympics, winning the Olympics with. You've got men. Oh yeah, I know, but they got one out in they got another guy like that in Texas. I think he's in Florida State now, but he was running crazy times. But you know, if you guys want to believe that people don't use steroids, knock yourself out, man. You know what I mean? Knock yourself out. But as it comes to boxing, you know they do. And Canelo Alvarez and those guys' camp are riddled right now with steroid abusers. We will break exactly with steroids. Now, the guy that breaks 8 seconds, he may not live to 50 years old. You know, body's going to be riddled with all kind of nonsense and all that. But, you know, you cannot tell me that the human body has changed that much. Like, where things that were absolutely impossible to be done can be done, dog. In 8 seconds, you're beating some dogs. You know what I'm saying? You're beating some dogs. But you know what I mean? Cat Bear Hampton said, track is cool and all that, but how about Benavidez versus a winner of Caleb Plant? Neither guy, Canelo Plant, neither guy seems to want that smoke. Man, I'm going to tell you something, man. That's all on that dude, man. Fannon, every sport has advanced since the 1980s. Advanced how? Advanced how? You're talking about track and field where somebody's running from point A to point B. Boxing has not advanced since the 1980s. The fighters are not better now than they were in the 1980s. But whatever. You know, you guys keep going with this myth of development and not thinking that people are playing around with drugs. Okay, then I guess we don't need steroids. I mean, are there steroids? Are steroids used or are steroids not used? But anyway, let's get back to boxing because honestly, that's a diversion in conversation that is pointless because you know these people are juicing. You know they are. So stop acting like they're not. You know, stop acting like your guy is the one that could never have done it. You know, now if you give me some reason and say it against somebody that doesn't look like they're on juice, that doesn't behave like they're on juice and there's no smoke signals, then I say give the guy a break. You know, unless somebody tests positive, and we with all the smoke. Hey, look, man, I got a lot of respect. Hey, respect to you, man. I don't mean to bust your bubble, or I don't mean to bust your bubble about the Jamaican sprinters. But come on, man. I'm not saying all of them are, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't win races. If everything was equal, they would still win the races. If everything was equal, Canelo Alvarez would still win fights. But Canelo Alvarez is cheating. And it's just patently obvious that Canelo Alvarez is cheating. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can look at the guy's body and say, how did you get built like that? You know what I'm saying? Why are you rippling muscles all on your neck? Why is your back a mile wide? Why do you got back acne? Why in these freeze frames do you look like you're flexing like the Incredible Hulk? You know what I mean? You got all kind of veins popping out the top of your head. You know, look at the picture of the guy. Just look at him. And you tell me that this shit is natural? Get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here, dude. And how do you start, like, everybody's bragging about lifting weights and, man, get out of here. Terry Schmoo said, Canelo's natural. You can tell from his progression from 154 to now. Exactly. Yeah, that's all natural. To be rolling up to 175 pounds and breaking people's arms with your shots. Just stop, dog. You know what I'm saying? Just stop. Look at how these guys' bodies look. Okay? And ask yourself a question. If these guys are clean, what would they look like if they got on steroids? You see what I'm saying? Like, how much more roided up can Canelo Alvarez look in a boxing ring? His neck is this thick. His neck is that thick. Anyway, Bearcat Hampton said that makes Bernard Hopkins' feat at his age all the more impressive. I don't think Hopkins ever juiced, though some try to say he might have. I mean, I can't say, let me put it this way. Unless there's something that is obvious about the guy, obvious about them, that would tell me that these guys are juicing, obvious about it, I'm not going to say that they are. Either they're doing something. Hey, that's respect. I can appreciate that. Man, I'll even give you a gong, Renee, for that one. Said, I love your channel, bro, but I'm definitely defending my country. Hey, defend your country. They're the best, dude. They're the best sprinters in the world, without a doubt. I'm just trying to say that if they were not doing it in track and field, they wouldn't be the best. Because somebody else would be doing it. And I'm telling you, your body, you will be beaten by somebody that is on steroids. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a great athlete and somebody else is a great athlete, but you're a little bit better than them, if they get on juice, they're gonna beat you. Because they can outwork you. You know what I'm saying? You cannot work like they can work. They work like an incredible paces. 3 workouts a day, body snaps back, no swelling, no swelling, no aches and pains. They just get up and because they're taking medicine. You know what I'm saying? It's like any other medicine. They use all kind of stuff. They use the diuretics to get it out of their system. Albuterol builds muscle and burns fat at the same time. I mean, what human being really can build muscle fast and cut muscle fast at the same time? You mean, like, to think that the Vladimir Klitschko and Vitaly Klitschko were not juicing, in my opinion, it's absolutely dumbfounding that people think that they weren't, because they would gain weight in boxing camps. They would go into training camp and come out bigger in training camp than they went in. It's like, how do you gain weight how you gaining weight while you running 6 miles a day, sparring and doing all that? Where do you get the energy then to also dip down and start lifting weights? But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Don't know, so we do it, G. Look, I already proved that you were wrong, okay? I already proved. Actually, the chat did it by mentioning multiple Jamaicans that tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. I was going to leave it at Ben Johnson, but they brought in Merlene Ottey in other Jamaicans that tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Dillian White tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. So when you said that Jamaicans don't use steroids, it went out the window right there. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of what I didn't even. There have been Jamaicans that have tested positive for performance. Said Fannon, but genetics play a big part too. Jamaicans have great genetics. Absolutely. Yes. They got the same genetics as blacks in America. Absolutely. What's the difference? They're just from another island. Jamaicans do not have they're not fundamentally different people than we are. They got dropped off in Jamaica. We got dropped off in Mississippi. It's literally the same people, man. People who are related by blood. Some people got dropped down there. Other people got dropped up here. What's the difference? They're black people. They're Africans that were transplanted from Africa into the Caribbean. And to some degree, they have mixture from Europeans. In large degree that they don't. They may be more closely related to each other, though, because they were dropped off. They were brought over in groups that stayed together. So that's why they got patois and all that stuff patois and all that stuff. They have that language. But, we're built tough. Yeah, I mean, dog, you're Africans. You're Africans. We're Africans. Absolutely. You got great genetics. Because Africans got great genetics. You don't see them suckers busting out 10 flat hunters all the time, but you will see them Kenyans running all day and night. God dog, them boys run all day and night. That may be for we don't eat all processed food like they do here. Diet can play a role for sure. Dwayne Kane Sr. said, Fannon, great brother. What's going on with Porter Crawford bid? They got you off topic. Is there a date that they're shooting for yet? They're shooting for October. They're shooting for what's going on, Musa Mak? They're shooting for, I think, the November. I think they said the November, December time frame is where they're shooting for. But the progress in it is that they just moved. They're not going to have the purse bid today. That's what it is. Renee Parton said facts because, that day, you guys have better sprinters than we do right now. Now, in the battle between American sprinters and Jamaican sprinters, you guys are winning that battle without a doubt. You guys have better sprinters than us, consistently got better sprinters. Short distance sprinters, got better short distance sprinters. I got to qualify that. And lay my hand on the maybe on the milers, but I haven't paid as much attention to track and field in some years. Honestly, man, because seriously, dude, it's really really juiced up. Like that sport is super duper. Andrew Gray said, "I never ate canned food till I came to this country." Wow, that's something. Now we are born eating canned food. Will Bud Porter do 250K? I think so, somewhere around there. It'll be a good. The question is, would you buy it? Let me pose a different question. Would you buy the fight? I would buy the fight personally. You know what I'm saying? I would buy the fight. So is it worth $70 to me to see that fight? I wouldn't want to pay for the fight, but at the same time, dude, I would pay for that fight for sure, man. You know what I mean? So, I don't want to necessarily get trapped in, what the ultimate number is, because that's not this is obviously not Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier type of fight. It's just a very, very, very good fight, man. But we're now in a situation where we always judging how good the fight is based on how many people bought it and should we have it? Will there be enough people that really want to buy it? Those are all promoters. Those are promoters' problems. Those are not, those are not our problems, man. When is Porter? The November, December timeframe is what I understand. And it's sometimes getting off boxing is a good thing. It does affect the people that really want to put do the super chats and put that in there. So, and ask questions like that. But here was he come. Breach ruckus. Carmelo already got caught. Fannon, stop telling them. What do you mean? Stop telling them what? Carmelo already got caught. Fannon, stop telling him. Much love in that super chat. Look, man, I ain't got no problem telling you those guys are on juice. I have no problem telling you those guys are on juice because, hey, man, they're on juice. And if people want to, get on that particular that stable of fighters for being using juice because they keep getting caught, it is what it is, man. I know Canelo Alvarez is uses steroids. That's not even a question. He got caught doing it. The question is why everybody bent over so far backwards to make it look like he didn't and to act like Canelo Alvarez is a clean fighter, because he's not a clean fighter. He's a very, very good fighter, but he's not a clean fighter. And that's what it is, you know. And honestly, I don't think Manny Pacquiao is a clean fighter. And I think that there is a good chance that, you know, the VADA testing for the Errol Spence Jr. fight might have affected his footwork because he wasn't able to do it, you know, or he was more reticent, because my understanding is that there wasn't VADA used for a lot of the fights in the past with Manny Pacquiao. You know, when guys come out of the streets and they come in from selling, you know, in hard suit, man, everybody, dude, when you're in a hard situation, you know, you're going to do what you got to do to get by, man. You know, survival is option number one. And these boxers that's what they do. So if they're not losing, and if they're losing and they got a bunch of other guys around them cheating, and their only choice is to fail or to cheat, you know, and failure means starve, failure means, you know, then guess what? That's what they're going to do, because that's the only option that's left to them. Right. So I'm not making personal judgments on guys, but at the same time, when somebody tests positive, you know, for it, that is what it is. Man, Dillian White is a drug cheat. You know, Tyson Fury is a drug cheat. And, you know, you got people running around acting like they're not. You know what I'm saying? Musa Hamak said, Fannon, you look stressed, bro. Talk too much coffee and talking fast. You okay? Man, I'm fine. If you hear me talking fast, it's because it's an irritating subject. That's what it is. We're talking about steroids, and I'm having a conversation with somebody saying, "Hey, Jamaicans never use steroids." And on the other hand, what people are saying is that, you know, that I'm forgiving Canelo Alvarez for not, you know, just listen slow. No, man, I mean, this is how I talk, man. You know, you got to keep the conversation flowing, man. It's a live stream. But, you know, it is what it is. Christopher Daly said, Pac looks slow and lethargic against Ugas. Yeah, man, he looked like he just didn't have the same juice that he always has. But I'll chalk that up to age, man. You know, more than anything. I chalk that up to age. But, you know, it is what it is. Hey, said, hey, Fannon, love you, bro. Stuff these steroid munchers, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Would you say Livingston Bramble, Boom Boom Mancini, or Lloyd Hunnigan were juicing? Not a high likelihood of it. I would say that there's not a high likelihood of it, because it was in the 1980s and it wasn't as prevalent. It wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So, nah. Livingston Bramble, no. I like Livingston Bramble, though. And Boom Boom Mancini, Lloyd Hunnigan, those were some good lightweight fights, man, back in the day. Noberto said, in professional sports, banned substances are on the table of the day. Yeah, pretty much. You know? Hey, Terry Smooth said, this was a great show. Thanks, man. We got off topic a little bit, but, you know, that's what, you know, the live streams we usually do. I've been sticking, you know, primarily, you know, exclusively to boxing a lot, but, you know, the conversation went somewhere else with the steroid issue with Oscar Valdez. And that's a conversation that really is about, you know, about boxing in general. And it's not about boxing. It's about sports in general and not just about boxing exclusively, you know. But juicing was going on at the same time in baseball for not as heavily it started to kick off in the 1980s, but it got bigger in the 1990s, you know. But Livingston Bramble and those guys were not, you know, multi-million-dollar fighters. Those weren't really, you know, but maybe they could have been, you know. But there's nothing in it. There's nothing that I saw about Livingston Bramble that would make me believe Livingston Bramble was, or guys like Paulie Ayala or what was his name? Augustus, Emmanuel Augustus, right? I don't think that steroids in boxing was so prevalent in the 1980s that it's just everywhere. I think now that you can see the guys that are doing it based on how they're built. Like these guys are packing on way too much muscle and being way too efficient with all that muscle sitting on them for long periods of time, Marvelous Marv said, go where the energy takes you, bro. Thanks. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's a conversation, and that's what people wanted to talk about. Is the UFC going to be better as far as more popular? I can't really speak on it. I think that there's ebbs and flows in boxing, and, there's times when boxing's going really well and times when boxing doesn't. UFC is a very entertaining sport, and but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know as much about the UFC. I think the UFC is peak though. I think the UFC is where the UFC is. I think that they got to the point of being a viable sport, and that they're a viable sport and a viable source of entertainment, right? And an option for fight fans. But I think that that's about where it's going to go. And I think that that's where boxing is. Boxing is a viable option for fans of combat sports, Said UFC is great while boxing is drowning. I think that's from the perspective of a UFC fan, but hopefully we can get things changed. I would be lying if I said that this was, that it wasn't really hard on boxing right now, because it is, it really is. And there's more excitement around the UFC among casual boxing, around people that would be casual boxing fans, right? And so they're getting it. But, look, man, I'm just no shame to my game, dude. I'm a boxing fan, and there's more than enough boxing to go around to make me happy. And it doesn't really matter how big the UFC gets compared to boxing for me. I really care about how many really good boxing matches. Like, there was a time when boxing was bigger than basketball, but basketball exploded, and boxing got bigger than boxing. Right now, I think basketball is on the decline, and if they're not careful, it'll continue to be on the decline. But they're all viable. They're all viable options for sports, man. You know what I mean? But that's my take. But anyway, man, look, much love to everybody in the chat, everybody in the super chat. It was a great conversation today. I really do appreciate you guys coming by. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:00 a.m. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Matter of fact, before I get off, man, make sure you hit that like button. You hit that like button before I get out of here, man. Because what do we got? 199 likes. We had almost 300 people in the building. Hit that like button, man. Anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.